Whether it's leftover food, plastic packaging, or broken appliances, our waste is piling up. Disposing of it properly is often a problem. However, it's our responsibility to keep the earth clean. There are different ways of doing that. Let's explore some of them on today's show. Hello and welcome to Eco India. I'm Sanuta Raghu. Not all of our waste ends up in landfills and scrapyards. Too much of it pollutes our seas and rivers. There are initiatives trying to change that. Along the Ganges River, here in India, for example, a company from Germany is trying to help.
Every year, millions of pilgrims and tourists visit the many bathing ghats by the river Ganges in Varanasi, in the eastern part of the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. During the day, devotees take dips in the river and light lamps. At night, large crowds gather to watch the daily aarti or prayer. For the 450 million people who live in its basin, the Ganges is an essential water source that has become severely polluted in recent decades.
When the Ganges used to overflow during the monsoon, I would take a dip in it. But now that it's so polluted, I don't bathe in it. This is the Assi River. This is 600 years old. Now people have turned it into a drain. Many officers come and go, but no one is taking any action against it.
The main causes of pollution in the Ganges is waste generated by industry, households and tourism. A large portion of it enters the river from smaller tributaries such as the Assi River. At the confluence of these two waterways, the pollution is even visible to the naked eye as it flows from the Assi River into the Ganges. Varanasi's popularity as a tourist destination and its growing population have led to increasing amounts of plastic waste being dumped into its rivers.
कचरा देखिए प्रतिदिन सरकार का गाड़ी वाला आता है.
The government garbage collector comes by here every day. But not all households are the same. Some throw their trash out of their back doors and into the stream. People also throw plastic bags, garbage, and indeed dead animals into this river.
यहाँ तक कि मरे हुए जानवर, कुत्ता, सुअर, बिल्ली वगैरह भी लोग नाले में फेंक देते हैं जो बहकर यहाँ जाती है.
In 2014, the Indian government launched a 2.5 billion euro plan called Namami Gange, meaning Sacred Ganges, to clean up the river. With funding from this program, the company Plastic Fisher is deploying what it calls trash booms to trap plastic in the Ganges tributaries. Rishabh Sinha leads a 14-member team who have been installing the trash booms across the Assi River.
Mostly the trash which we are collecting from the trash boom is non-recyclable trash, which includes MLPs, single-use plastic, thermocol, and then there is some portion of it which is PET bottles, HDP, LDP, some rubber sandals, slippers, sometimes weird stuff like electronic, like we have found TVs, TV sets in our trash booms as well.
The Assi River has become so polluted with garbage that it is now called the Assi Nala or Assi Drain. It is estimated that nearly 315 tons of plastic waste, equivalent to the weight of 79 elephants, end up in the river Ganges each day. Plastic waste dumped into the Ganges and its many smaller tributaries damages the river's marine ecosystem and the health of millions of people who live along its 2,500 kilometer length. But the damage is not limited to the river itself.
There are microplastics which are generated because of the breakdown of the plastic that we use. So, for example, if you throw a polythene bag or you throw a plastic bucket, eventually they'll break down into smaller parts and if we look at the current research which has happened, microplastic has been found in air, water, soil, in human bodies, in vegetables.
Plastic Fisher says that its trash booms collect between 200 to 300 kilograms of plastic from the two rivers in Varanasi each day. The company is trying to address the problem of plastic dumping at the Ganges tributaries. These tend to be much narrower than the main river, which makes trapping waste easier.
The littering issue, There has been a constant effort from the government and from us as well. Like we do every Sunday, we are doing this awareness drive on the banks of the river Ganga, where about 100 people participate.
The awareness raising campaign does more than teach about pollution. Volunteers pick trash from the banks of the Ganges, which both helps them understand the extent of the problem and cleans up the river banks. Lakshman has worked for the German firm for 9 months. Doing so has helped change his views on his own household waste.
I have changed. I keep a garbage can at home. I sweep up my trash and throw it into the garbage can, and only give it to the garbage collectors who come to our home.
The garbage collectors sort and bale the trash, then ship it off to their recycling partner for thermal recovery. Plastic Fisher says that since its start in 2021, it has collected 47 tons of plastic waste from Varanasi, all of which would otherwise have ended up in the Ganges. Such small-scale solutions can prove crucial for mitigating the growing presence of microplastics in the Ganges basin as well as the oceans.
While you might think of green energy as sustainable, it also leads to waste. Take wind turbines. Europe will have to dismantle nearly 12,000 turbines by 2024. Normally, the materials would end up in scrapyards. But in Poland, designers have found a novel way to reuse them.
These wind turbines are more than 20 years old. Compared to modern ones, they're small and inefficient, so they're being torn down. So what happens to these green energy giants at the end of their lifespan? The blades, especially, are made of composites and plastics. Instead of recycling them, a lot ends up in landfills or incinerated in the kilns of cement and steel factories.
For some years now, facilities that incinerate them aren't really happy about it, and that's down to the physics of the combustion process. The glass fiber is bonded with resins, which gum up the kiln and the ash. So quite apart from the environmental lunacy, it's just not an ideal solution.
And recycling is only just getting off the ground. It's only recently that wind turbine manufacturers have had the wind-to-waste problem on their radar. That often leads to situations like this. On this green field, decommissioned turbine blades are dismantled for the scrapyard. One company near the Polish city of Wrocław has come up with a solution. Unmet takes old turbine blades from Germany and turns them into furniture. The blades, up to 12 meters long, are first sawed into sections. Sanded and painted, they get a new life as outdoor furniture, chairs, benches, and tables, accented with top-quality larchwood. Students from the University of Zielona Góra come up with the designs. They're thrilled that their products are being bought by customers around the world.
Of course, you can use it inside, but I think outside is better way to use this material because it's waterproof, it's damage-proof.
A footbridge, another of Anmet's novel recycling ideas. The rotor blades were transformed into the support for a pedestrian bridge. It's the brainchild of engineer Andrzej Adamczuk. For him, old blades are not hazardous waste, but a resource.
For example, we don't try to change the shape of the rotor, we turn it into a sculpture with a dozen blades. It's going to be monumental, really big, so that it will really wow people.
Andrzej Schnabel runs an online shop, Wings for Living. That's the exclusive retailer. There's even an app to let you see what the furniture would look like in your garden. Schnabel and his counterparts in Poland are good friends. A garden bench like this can easily cost 1,500 euros.
We're aiming to be a small and stylish brand that helps raise awareness of the problem and also shows that old discarded objects can be turned into beautiful and unique furnishings.
His friends in Poland are constantly coming up with innovative designs, like a rotor wing transformed into a wine cellar. When it comes to upcycling, the sky's the limit. And there's no shortage of turbine blades that need repurposing. The new generation of wind turbines are bigger and more powerful. Modern turbines are temples of high tech, filled to the brim with electronic components. And they promise to help solve the wind-to-waste problem. In 30 or 40 years, when these turbines go offline, they'll be more easily recycled into valuable raw materials.
All big manufacturers are working on producing their components so that they'll be easier to recycle, meaning in a way that's environmentally sustainable, energy-saving, and cost-saving.
100% recyclable turbine blades are the wave of the future. Germany, for example, plans to install 1,500 new wind turbines a year. In a few decades, their aging blades will be mined for valuable raw materials.
They're small and made of plastic, sachets. These little packets might be handy, but they quickly land in the garbage bin, and they don't rot. In our web special, we chart the journey of such a sachet, from the origins of the raw materials it's made from to its end on the rubbish heap. We find out why the number of sachets is growing and why they're so lucrative for businesses and so disastrous for our planet. Find out more at dw.com/plastic.
There's so much garbage that sometimes it can seem to be an insurmountable problem. Recycling is one way of dealing with waste, but it's not always straightforward, and often it has to start at home.
Swara Shah is preparing her family's waste for collection.
This is the kitchen waste. This is the dry waste container, and this is the wet waste. We keep this here.
Since 2017, families in Thane have been responsible for separating their own waste.
This is the wet compost which is being made, and we keep the kitchen waste here. This is the compost. It has been ready. It's dry. We can keep it in the plants directly now.
The 10-year-old and her family separate waste into biodegradable or wet waste and dry recyclable waste.
This is the electronic waste.
Dry waste can be trashed altogether, but Swara and her mother are part of a project trying to separate dry waste further.
I was separating dry and wet. 1 year back on the WhatsApp group, I came to know that even plastic gets recycled. So then I started segregating plastic also.
The family lives in an apartment in the city of Thane on the edge of Mumbai. About a third of the 300 households in their complex regularly segregate their dry waste and give it to the NGO Samarth Bharat Vyaspeeth, or SBV. The NGO picks up the dry waste from the complex every 2 weeks. Residents can organize a pickup using a smartphone app. Thane's municipal authorities gave the NGO's initiative Project Revitalization an official license to operate in the city, thanks to its efforts in reducing the amount of non-biodegradable waste that would otherwise end up in landfills. SBV Chief Executive Bhatu Sawant says the project has grown in the last 4.5 years. It now collects from over 100,000 households in the entire Thane region.
The issue of garbage is linked to many other questions: economical, ecological, social backgrounds, and the most crucial being circular economy. So we felt that if you address the issue of garbage, then there is a possibility of addressing these related issues as well.
Samarth Bharat Vyaspeeth runs Project Revitalization on a non-profit model. Its sole source of revenue is earned by taking care of Thane's horticultural waste. Workers turn wood from felled and trimmed trees into fuel briquettes, which are sold back to the Thane Municipal Corporation for use in their boilers. The NGO augments this revenue with contributions from local residents. Now they own a conveyor belt system to sort the growing amount of daily garbage. The single and multi-layer plastics are used to make bio-oil. Paper waste is sorted and compressed. It is then sent to specialist processors. 27 women handle the entire process. They used to work as waste pickers at local dumping grounds. Working at the dump carried grave health risks, and there was no guaranteed income. Having a full-time job with the NGO allowed them to quit.
We would get injured a lot. Our feet could get cut. Our hands would get pierced by syringes, nails, and more. But we had to work there to earn a living.
For decades, solid waste in India has primarily ended up in open dumping sites like these. A city of 3 million people, Thane produces a little over 1,000 tons of waste every day. Like many of India's cities, it faces growing heaps of garbage without effective segregation. The Thane Municipal Corporation has sought to address this problem by making laws mandating composting of biodegradable waste within homes. But the city's efforts towards further segregation and recycling of dry waste are going slow. This is where Project Revitalization has filled the gap. It goes directly to citizens. Thane's Municipal Commissioner Vipin Sharma believes that public-private partnerships can help the city reduce its trash.
I think in today's progressive world, laws are more enabling than more enforcing. So it's always citizens' participation which makes a law successful or unsuccessful.
Samarth Bharat Vyaspeeth also regularly holds workshops for school children in Thane. Sawant estimates about 60,000 children have attended workshops at his integrated waste management project.
What's unique about our approach is that we go directly to the people and tell them that this is our collective responsibility, which we have to take care of. If they think of the environment as theirs, things can change.
Sawant's work has garnered interest from neighboring cities, like the industrial town of Bhiwandi. His team is already at work setting up the new plant. The city has provided special trucks to help with the pickup process. Bhiwandi's residents still have to learn to segregate waste at home. And then little by little, Sawant's stacks of sorted dry waste, ready for recycling, will steadily grow.
It's not just about what we do with what we throw away. Education and awareness raising are important in combating the world's waste problem. In Ghana, artists are using garbage itself to get the message out.
Keep it clean, MOK, traffic rhythm. Keep it clean. The Lord is
For 10 years now, musician David Kumurdzi, who also goes by the name Togbi Ghana, has been trying to mobilize people to clean up Accra.
keep it clean, keep it clean. Keep the environment clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean.
A lot of people listen to music than any other stuff in a day. A lot of people also take a lot of advice, also inspiration from music, basically. And also I see it as also appealing to actually use for creating awareness.
For David Kumurdzi, environmental activism is more than sitting in his small studio and singing. Every Sunday, he heads to one of the beaches in the capital, Accra. He works with a group of volunteers collecting the trash. Cleaning up a single beach takes hours. The volunteers sort the trash into different kinds of waste. Then they sell it to recycling companies.
Actions speak louder than words. I believe as a leader, I'm supposed to set the pace for others to follow. So I say, okay, I'm going to do this and make sure my fans and my relatives and others in the community actually can also see the example I'm trying to put as my effort, that they can also join us to make it successful.
Esulfi Banton is another artist who collects trash here at the beach. In the midst of all the plastic bottles, Today he came across a broken flotation device from a fishing net, which he'll be able to put to good use.
Wow, love this. I collect trash from the environment, the streets, the beaches, wherever I find, I collect trash and then I convert it into art, visual art.
He lives in the city of Impriaso, about 100 kilometers from Accra. He designs installations and collages. The works pick up on themes from daily life in the country. This one includes part of the flotation device.
My message also talks about how we have distanced ourselves from the environment, because from a far distance, you see my work as a painting work, a flat work, a very beautiful artwork. But when you get close to it, this is when you realize that you see a whole lot of trash.
Sophie Banton also teaches at a high school. Ghana has recently incorporated environmental education into its regular curriculum. In his classes, Banton teaches kids painting and talks about environmental topics.
The future generation is the people who are going to take good care of us when we are old. And then there are the people who are going to really care for the environment in the near future. So if we are not able to inculcate this type of idea in them, they will grow up not to really understand and love the environment.
Sophie Banton sometimes takes his students on field trips. Today they're paying a visit to his gallery, where he presents his own works. Some of them have sold very well. David Kumurdzi, in contrast, can't make a living just from his music, but he has made a difference. Thanks to him and other volunteers, Accra's beaches are a little bit cleaner now.
From art to fashion, one of the world's most polluting industries. It's estimated to be responsible for around 20% of global clean water pollution. But by recycling and finding innovative new materials, textiles can also become more sustainable. Let's take a look at some Turkish fashion designers who have come up with very interesting ideas.
Renewable energies in synergy with innovative design. Here, fashion designer Tuba Ergin is showcasing her collection in a solar park in Bursa in northwestern Turkey, a show full of energy.
We need to protect our core values, but modernize them. The time for that has come.
Sustainability is also a key feature of Ece Göğsen's designs. She's considered a wunderkind in the industry, a high flyer who already won international prizes for her designs early on.
Vogue Italy selected me as the most visionary designer after seeing my first diploma collection. As a young designer who's just starting out, such an award was, of course, a door opener.
Tuba Ergin is considered a pioneer of sustainability on the Turkish fashion scene. She's been in the industry for over 20 years, first working for major fashion labels before launching her own brand. She experiments, choosing materials that aren't considered high quality, but rather industrial waste. She designed this bag series made out of old car tires.
I can say that I lived with this material for about 5 years. First of all, car tyres are very interesting in terms of the material. As you can see here, they have their individual textures. Sometimes there are patches on them. There aren't any on this one. Here I combined them with leather, but I usually use vegan leather.
Ece Göğsen is not content just to use recyclable materials. She wants to see a radical change in thinking. 5 years ago, she founded the Göğsen Institute, which aims to combine fashion, design, biotechnology, and art. To reach her vision, she's entered into partnerships working with biologists, architects, and artists. Tuba Ergin also believes that the time has come to rethink production processes in the fashion industry.
People are more aware now, they know more. We're just going through the processes that should have happened a long time ago. We're giving back everything we have taken from nature so far. That's how I define biodesign. Perhaps it's a kind of apology.
Etche Gusin and Tuba Ergin, a new generation of designers putting sustainability at the center of their work.
Living in a world where there's no waste, that might be an illusion. But it's worth thinking about how to live more resource efficiently and above all, develop creative ideas on how to deal with things that are no longer needed. I'll leave you with that and see you again next week. From all of us in India and Germany, goodbye and thanks for watching.